right. So we just want to thank Tech Alley for having us tonight. It's really excited to be here and kind of show what we've been working on. We've gotten a little bit of traction the last couple months, so we just really want to share what we've been doing. My name is Austin and this is Brennan. We're both UNR grads and we're back up here trying to get involved in the startup community, so it's kind of exciting to be here.
Yep, so we got a lot of cool stuff to show you about what we've been doing, but first, just quick straw poll, show of hands. Who checked their screen time this week and said, man, I wish I spent more time on my phone? Yeah, we got one. So we either got a shy room here, or like us, we maybe wish we spent less time on our phones, which is fair. You don't have to say it out loud, but just think to yourself, if you were to take back that time, how do you think you would spend it? It's something to think about. Now, if we just talk about the phone overuse problem for a second, this is something that we really have been zeroing in on for a while. We've been doing a good amount of consumer research the past few months, and this is just a highlight that we want to share with you today. So specifically in America, we're checking our phones an average of 150 times per day. That's taking your phone out of your pocket and looking at it. That doesn't count the little taps that you habitually do over the course of the day. In addition, if you scale that up, we see between 30 and 50% of people worldwide self-identifying as addicted to their phone, which is a bigger number, 2 to 3.5 billion people. So if we want to make it more relevant to here, if you look to the person to your left, person to your right, chances are you or one of them are addicted to their phone, which is it's her, not you. Fair enough. All right, so this is really the problem that we're trying to tackle at Simple, and our solution is to introduce a smart feature phone operating system, which is designed to maximize utility, or that is the helpful functions that help you survive in the day-to-day life, while minimizing the distractions that might come with it. So that's the use of your browser, that's the use of games, that's the use of multimedia apps like social media, anything that takes you away from living the life in front of you with the people you want to live it with. So I think to unpack this thing a little bit more, the idea and how it's going to look, we're going to give you a little bit of insight into where we're coming from and our backgrounds.
So just a little bit about us. From 2018 up until now, we were both working, traveling, living abroad in various different countries. And we found one thing in common, is that we need lots of apps to be able to navigate our way through life. It's kind of just a necessity thing. So all that screen time you're using, some of it is actually practical and useful, believe it or not. So the only problem is, these are mixed in with all the apps trying to grab your attention and kind of take you away from living in the present moment.
So specifically for Austin and I, when we were living, working, traveling in all these countries, you know, there are these, like he said, these really helpful features which made life so much easier. But then the problem was every time we would take our phone out to do some sort of important thing, to interact with the world around us, we would stay on there for a couple more seconds, a couple more minutes, hours sometimes, just because the distracting parts were right there. So, you know, it came to a point where we're like, man, we got to change something. We're missing out on all these cool experiences being abroad. But nothing really worked. We tried to delete the apps that was distracting us, but we ended up re-downloading them. So then we went to the market to see, hey, what really exists that's going to help us manage this problem of being able to use all the helpful stuff, but none of the distracting stuff. And so what we found was there's a smattering of solutions that people have tried to come up with over the years. And it can kind of fall on a spectrum from fully limited feature phones, what you know of as a flip phone from the early 2000s and before, all the way to these attention management apps, which are just apps or software that come preloaded on your phone, which you can say, hey, set screen time for this, or block me from this unless I put a password in. But those are easily evaded. You just say, remind me later, set a password. So they're not really sustainable. So this was kind of our entrance into what's a way to sustainably design a mobile phone so that we can maximize all the helpful stuff and get rid of all the distracting stuff in such a way that we don't feel like we're at a loss. So when we looked at, like Austin said, all the helpful ways we use our phone, we came up with a couple of different categories here that helpful bit falls into, which is communication and daily utility. So a little heuristic we use ourselves to determine when we're building something ourselves or when we're determining to support a third party's application or service is to run it through a little shortcut that we call the 5 M's. So the 5 M's, if a third party or our own service meets one of the criteria of one of the 5 M's, then it's a go. And if it doesn't meet one of those 5 M's, then it's disallowed from the platform. So the 5 M's are messaging, which goes to communication, which also includes calling and emailing, your typical ways of communicating. And then in the utility portion, we have maps, music, money, and more. And the more is just a catch-all for all the other utility-based apps that don't fit into a category that doesn't match our little M nickname, and we thought it was cute, so we just call it more. But the principle is to gear every functionality, whether it is our own proprietary or a third party, towards communication and utility.
So our home screen that you've seen here a couple of slides now, it's kind of broken down in a couple parts. Towards the top, you would have our pinned widgets. So in this case, it would be a music app, as well as maps. This could also be a calendar, anything you're using at that particular time. Towards the bottom, we have notifications, and these come and go all day, like we know. And the whole goal of this is when you don't have either of these, it's just a blank screen. Nothing to take your attention away from what you're doing, which is kind of cool. Another big selling point that people have really been enjoying is the fact that we have dual profiles. You have a personal profile as well as a work profile. This is cool is because it separates your contacts. You can have your business contacts on one side of the phone, your personal contacts on the other side, with only a couple going back and forth, just depending on how you want to set it.
Yeah, so we're still in the building phase right now, but we've been getting a lot of enthusiasm very recently, and we've gotten to a point where we're close enough to releasing our V1s here that I'll go over, that we're kind of ready to start telling people to let people in as they feel led, if they're just excited about the project in general, or if they see like, hey, this is something that I think that I could really benefit from. So what the different ways we have to get involved at this point, first we have an Android launcher, which is going to be available in the Play Store. Android launcher is basically a skin that you could put on your phone that makes the interface look different. So you're going to be able to have a little bit of a sample of what using the full system looks like without having to lock yourself completely into the system. A little bit of a try before you buy type deal. And then we have, if you're really interested in testing the flagship product, the whole kit and caboodle, no browser, lockdown, everything, then we're going to be starting beta test here pretty soon. And if you're interested in beta testing, just come up and talk to us after Jonathan's talk, and we can see what that looks like. That is, in a nutshell, going to be, we'll let you try out the early versions in exchange for your feedback, just so we can make the product better and iterate until it's really ready for prime time. And then if you're not ready to do any of that testing mumbo jumbo, but you're like, hey, yeah, just let me know when it's ready, I'll buy it, I'm really interested. Or your friend maybe spends way too much time in their phone and you're gonna put their email down. There's a wait list that we have on our website that all we're gonna use that for is to let you know when Simple's ready to go. We're not big fans of spam ourselves, so we're not expecting to do anything to other people that we wouldn't want done to ourselves. So only important communications only. If you put your name on there, we'll let you know when it's ready. So that's how you can get involved.
So if you would like to scan the QR code, this will take you to our website, or you can reach us, or you can go through gosimple.rsvp. The website has a lot of information that we talked about today. It also has a really cool prototype you can try out. That's kind of the end goal for us, and we're trying to work towards. So thank you again for inviting us to speak. We're really excited to come and share, and thank you all for listening. Any questions?
Yeah, it's a fork of Android.
Yeah, so we're going to be taking a fork of Android and building on it, and we're going to plug into our own OS into it. We're going to be using Graphene OS, which is a more secure and more lockdown version of Android. We're going to be forking that with our own software so we can get it uploaded on people's phones.
And do you have a compatibility list?
As far as phones go?
Well, like Graphene has a compatibility list, and it's
Mm.
So,
So as of right now, we're using Google Pixel 5s because they have the open development options. So right now we're just kind of using those because it's the easiest for us. Eventually we'd like to branch out to all Android devices. Yeah.
Did you say when you would have a MVP, a minimum viable product for market?
We're hoping in the next couple of months or so. It's still kind of working on everything and working out the bugs and all the kinks and whatnot.
So how many testers have you had go through your simple app so far?
So for the prototype, we've gotten it in front of about 100 people or so, giving us feedback, and we're kind of taking their ideas and plugging them in or giving them explanations why that might not be the best fit with Simple.
Okay. And then have you thought about also maybe doing like a Chrome extension for this as well?
We have not. Well, we've discussed it a little bit. We're trying to just stick with mobile for now, and then eventually we're going to see where that goes and branch out.
Okay.
Yeah.
and do you have the ability to back up your OS before installing?
That we're trying to also work out. Unfortunately, neither of us are technical, or should I'm trying to work out all the kinks with some people as much as learning as we go along. So, yeah. Cool. Well, thank you again. I really appreciate it.